Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For this video, I wanted to share something quick and easy to throw together. This is a recipe for my favorite butter cookie. And this is the sort of cookie that when you bite into it, it melts in your mouth. It's so easy to throw together, and mainly it's because you only need a handful of ingredients to work with. And you're gonna start with a little bit of butter. Okay, it's a butter cookie, so it's quite a bit of butter. Some icing sugar. The icing sugar here is what is helping this cookie have its very sandy texture. So when you're working with icing sugar, I always suggest that you sift it all the way through because it tends to clump up, especially in very humid places. So you can add it in batches so that you don't get sugar all over the counter. And as usual, a little bit of vanilla flavor in there. You could add different flavors, but I really like vanilla because it enhances the flavor of the butter. And I also will need a little bit of all-purpose flour. Again, I'm not adding all the flour at once because I don't want it going everywhere in the kitchen, and you want to add it and start the mixer at low speed. You could also do this with a hand mixer or even by hand. You just want to make sure that the butter that you're using is unsalted, of course, and at room temperature. That makes the job a lot easier if you're doing this by hand. So quick and easy to throw together. I'm just scraping my paddle attachment just to make sure I have all the dough in the bowl and not in the paddle attachment. And this is basically ready. We want to add enough flour so that the dough comes together and it's not quite as dense as a chocolate chip cookie, for example, or something that you usually roll out with a rolling pin. These are going to be piped, so it has to have a very specific texture, and I want to make sure that you see that in this video. It's quite creamy, but it still doesn't stick. You can see that I'm just touching it with my fingers here, and it's not sticking, and I can actually sort of shape it with my hands. And that's what you're looking for. It's something that will pipe, but you will need both hands to pipe it with, because you need that force to make sure that it actually goes through the nozzle. And I have my piping bag here ready to go. It's attached with a star tip, which is the classic shape for these pipeable butter cookies. And I'm just going to transfer all of the dough into the piping bag and try to be as careful as possible not to get any air pockets in there. Now I'm carefully lifting the sides of the piping bag and removing it from the stand where I like to just place it so that it's easier to transfer dough or whatever it is that you're putting in the piping bag. And I'm squeezing. Try not to be too harsh because you might risk that the nozzle just comes flying out. And as usual, I like to make sure that my edges are clean, so the edge of the piping bag has no dough in it. And we are ready to shape this into some cookies. So I have my tray already lined with a baking mat, and this might require a little bit of practice. So the first one is never the pretty one. I'm just doing sort of S-shaped cookies. Just zigzag motions, and then when I'm done, I just press the tip down onto the mat. So if you are right-handed, you want to be applying pressure with the right hand at the bottom of the piping bag, and at the front you want to guide the shape of your cookie with the left hand. One tip that I can give you is to go for a silicone mat if you have one, because they are very dry, and when it comes to piping, if you're using parchment paper, you might risk lifting it up as you're piping your swirls or whatever it is, that shape that you want. These are ready for the oven and they take no time at all. You want to have a very light sort of golden brown color, nothing too dark here. And when you lift them up from the tray, you realize that they're done because they are super light. And you want to transfer them to your cooling rack, and you could be enjoying them when they cool, or you can take them to the next level like I am in this video and dip them in some chocolate. They are gonna crisp up as they cool, so I suggest that you let them cool for at least 20 minutes. But you can use this time to make the chocolate. Just melt some dark chocolate is my favorite on these, and that's what I'm gonna do as these cool. So here I've just melted some dark chocolate in the microwave in 30-second bursts at a time. It's melted all the way through, and I'm using a container that can basically handle me dipping the entire cookie. It's big enough to dip the sides of the cookie. And at this point, you just go with it. You can cover the whole thing, or just the tip, or the sides, or half of it. You get the idea. It's just a nice little touch. And because of the dark chocolate, I think it goes really well with the sweetness of the butter cookie. But milk chocolate is also delicious. And you want to let these cool maybe on a baking mat, or I have some acetate here, but this is just because I had some to spare. And look at that texture. It's super crumbly. It is delicious. I could eat a dozen of these and you wouldn't even notice because they're so light at the same time. I hope you heard that, and I'm sure you're gonna love this recipe. And if you do, then let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.